Chapter 5. Their first mission. Naruto and Tayayu stood in Tsunade's office waiting for their mission orders. Tayayu was looking at Naruto and his orange jumpsuit. Are you seriously going to wear that shithead? Naruto looked at his clothes then over at her. What's wrong with my clothes? Tayayu looked at him. They're absolutely terrible, you idiot. What the hell were you thinking wearing all one color? On top of that, why the hell would you pick orange? Stupid shithead. Naruto looked at her some more and then down at his clothes. Well, I guess I should get more clothes soon anyways. What colors should I get, Tayayu-chan? Tayayu looked over at him. I don't know. Colors that can blend in with their surrounding and crap. Black, blue, green and so on. Get it, shithead. Naruto looked at her and scratched the back of his head as Tsunade walked in. Good, you're both here. Naruto watched as Tsunade went and sat down. I think that it is time we give you both a mission and test where Tayuya's allegiances truly lie. They nodded their heads as Tsunade went through the missions that she had at her disposal. Tsunade looked at the two of them. C rank would be too easy for their skill level. A rank would give Naruto too many problems if she did betray him. B rank is the best choice, it seems. She looked at her B rank scroll and selected an escort mission for the two of them. Tsunade grabbed the scroll and tossed it over to Naruto. Protection and escort detail. Job is to escort the Land of Wind Daimyo's daughter to Sunagaku. Naruto looked at the scroll then put it in his back pocket. We will meet the client in 1 hour at the gate, Ba-chan. Tsunade nodded and the two left as Naruto handed Tayayu the scroll. Want to look it over, Tayayu-chan? Tayayu grabbed the scroll and looked it over. 15-year-old girl. Teenage girls are such bitches. Naruto was about to say that she was a teenage girl but stopped himself. He knew that would get him hit if he did. Naruto just stayed quiet as they walked along and then he stopped at the ninja store he bought all of his gear at since they didn't overcharge him. Tayayu stopped and saw that he had disappeared and groaned. Shithead, where are you? Naruto came out of the store. I am in here, Tayayu-chan. I need to get my new clothes. Tayayu looked at the shop and then walked in after him. He went to the clothes section and started to look around at the selection that the shop had. Naruto looked around and picked out some black pants and a blue shirt then went to try them on. Tayayu looked around the shop, deciding what she would get when they got their pay from this mission. Naruto came out of the dressing room. Tayayu-chan, is this any better? Tayayu looked over at him and her mouth dropped open for a second. Wow. Naruto looked at her and then at the clothes. Guess they aren't good, I will look for others. Tayayu finally snapped out of the stunned surprise that she was in. No. They're good, shithead. Naruto smiled at her a little then nodded his head and saw the clothes she was looking at. Naruto looked at the price of his clothes then at Tayayu. Would you like those clothes, Tayayu-chan? I have some money left over since these were cheaper than I thought they would be. Tayayu looked at him and then at the clothes she was looking at, wondering if she should let him buy them for her. He already pays for basically everything that she gets. No, shithead, I can buy it after the mission. Naruto looked at the shirt she was looking at then picked it up and took it to the counter with him. I said no, damn it. Naruto ignored her as he was rung up for all of the things then paid for the new clothes. Naruto handed Tayayu the shirt and gave her a small smile. Consider it a thank you gift for helping me pick out clothes. Plus I am sure that you want to get out of the poor district so you can save up your money to get into the better districts. Tayayu looked at him and then grabbed the shirt that he bought her. Thanks. Naruto. Naruto smiled at her as she went and put on her new shirt that was a dark gray. It was a tunic just like before but this one didn't have a symbol on it yet. She came out of the dressing area and looked at Naruto. So how do I look, shithead? Naruto went to answer but stopped. Is this some kind of trick so you can hit me? Tayayu looked at him then shook her head no. Naruto gave a small smile to her. Then you look amazing, Tayayu-chan. Tayayu had a small blush then walked out of the store with him, heading towards the front gate. When they arrived they stood there waiting for a moment for the client. Finally a carriage pulled up and out stepped the girl who looked at Tayayu and Naruto. Are you my escorts? Both of them nodded their heads at her and she smiled. Well, let's get going. I would like to only have to stop once on the trip. Both of the Konohagakure nin nodded their heads at the girl. She looked at Naruto for a minute before smiling and closing her door. Of course Naruto didn't pick up on it but Tayayu did. She looked like she was checking out the shithead. Naruto walked on the right side of the carriage while Tayayu walked behind it so that they weren't completely open to a rear assault. The daimyo's daughter stuck her head out the window looking at Naruto again. "What's your name?" Naruto looked over at her. "Naruto Uzumaki." She smiled at him again. "My name is Suki." Naruto nodded his head at her while Tayayu watched from behind the carriage. Is she flirting with him now? Naruto just kept walking, but Suki wasn't finished talking to him yet. "So why are you a ninja?" Naruto just looked forward. "This is what I wanted to be when I was growing up." Suki just leaned her head on her hand. He wasn't getting that she was trying to flirt with him. Why not try to be something more powerful, like a daimyo or something like that? Naruto looked over at Suki. "Have to be of noble blood to be a daimyo?" Suki nodded. "That or marry into a noble family." Naruto nodded his head at the comment, not seeing the underlying meaning that was there. Tayayu had wide eyes behind the carriage at the comment. "Cammy, what a whore, trying so hard for the fucking shithead." Suki huffed at the obvious lack of knowledge the teen had in the female area. She looked at him. "Why don't you come in here with me? Wouldn't it be easier to protect me from in here?" Tayayu was red in the face from what the girl just said. "Such a whore." Naruto shook his head. "No, I prefer to be out here. It is easier for me to react from out here." "Tayayu-chan, would you like to protect her from inside the carriage?" The red-headed teen quickly shook her head no. Suki gave up for now and went back into her carriage, and Naruto slowed down his pace to walk next to Tayayu. Naruto looked at her. "I think that girl has a thing for me." Tayayu looked at him. "Apparently the shithead is more intelligent than I thought he was." Tayayu looked back at the carriage. "Yeah, the daimyo's daughter seems to have a thing for you, shithead. Do you like her too?" Naruto looked at Tayayu then back ahead. "No, why do you ask, Tayayu-chan? Were you jealous?" Tayayu turned red from the question then hit him hard on the head. "No one would be, you shithead." Naruto rubbed his head as they walked and he looked at the red-headed teen then gave sigh. Naruto looked back ahead and picked up his pace and walked ahead of the carriage. At sundown one of the daimyo's daughter's guards asked to stop. Naruto looked around, and then nodded his head. "We are on the border of the river country and the wind country. We will be at Sunagaku tomorrow early afternoon, so there shouldn't be a problem with stopping for the night." The guard nodded as Naruto and Tayayu set up their tents as the daimyo's daughter was given some fancy food from her personal guards. Naruto and Tayayu opened up a container of food Naruto had prepared for them at the apartment. When everyone was finished, Suki came out of the carriage. "I need to use the bathroom." Both of the Konohagakure shinobi looked at each other then at her. Then Naruto spoke up, and she crossed her arms. "We are in the forest, that means I could be attacked. Isn't that why you're here? To protect me?" Naruto looked over at Tayayu. "That's on you, Tayayu-chan." Tayayu groaned as she stood up. "All right, come on." Suki nodded her head and followed after Tayayu as they went into the forest about 30 yards. Tayayu found somewhere that she could use the bathroom. "Here." Suki looked at where Tayayu said then back at the red-headed teen. "You're joking, right?" Tayayu rose her eyebrow. "What the hell do you expect? We are in the damn forest." Suki sighed then squatted to pee. "So, Tayayu was it?" Tayayu made a yes sound as Suki continued to pee. "That Naruto guy, does he have a girlfriend or anything like that?" Tayayu blushed, thinking about saying that he did so she would stop flirting with Naruto. It wasn't that she cared, but she needed him still. "I haven't seen one and I live with him, so I guess not." Suki finished using the bathroom then came back around the tree. "You live with him?" Tayayu nodded her head. "He saved me then worked out a deal with Tsunade so that I could become a Konohagakure kunoichi. To punish him for making deals before talking to her, she makes me live with him until I can afford somewhere to live." Suki nodded her head in understanding. "So you two aren't a couple or anything?" Tayayu blushed some more. What? Of Su? Course not. Why would you even ask?" Suki smiled. "Because of the way that he keeps looking at you when you're not paying attention." I guess I must have misread his face and expression. Tayayu looked back at Naruto as they exited the forest as he looked at them. "All better now?" Suki nodded then went into her carriage. "I am going to sleep. I would like to leave at dawn." Naruto nodded then looked over at Tayayu. "I will take first watch, Tayayu-chan. Why don't you get some sleep and I will wake you up in a couple of hours?" Tayayu nodded then went and laid down in her tent, falling asleep almost instantly. She woke up when Naruto shook her leg a little bit. Tayuya-chan, it's time to leave. Tayuya stretched as she sat up. Time to leave. What are you talking about? I haven't done my watch shift yet, you stupid shithead. Naruto looked at her and scratched his head. You looked tired last night and you were smiling while you slept, so I didn't wake you up. You don't smile all that much and I like when you smile. Tayuya blushed and then kicked Naruto in the face, sending him tumbling out of the tent. Naruto laid there and sighed. Tayuya-chan. I will never understand you. When they had the camp packed up again, they walked the rest of the way to Sunagakure and were greeted at the gate by Gaara and Temari. Gaara smiled at Naruto. Hello again, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto smiled at Gaara. Hey Gaara, how have you been? Gaara nodded at him. I have been fine. I was glad to hear our assistants helped bring back Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Yeah. He isn't that happy about it, but he is still in the village. Gaara nodded as Tayuya came and stood next to Naruto, instantly recognizing Temari. Tayuya pointed. It's the sand. Skanked. Naruto looked at Tayuya and sighed, rubbing his temples. Tayuya-chan, she is an ally now. Don't start conflicts, please. Tayuya glared at Temari, who glared right back. Naruto, why is the Otogakure Kunoichi with you? Naruto scratched the back of his head. She is a Konohagakure Kunoichi now and my teammate. She is no longer an enemy. Temari watched Tayuya closely but nodded her head. Remember what happened in the forest? I can easily do it again. Tayuya went to lunge at Temari, but Naruto wrapped his arms around her, keeping her still. Tayuya instantly started to blush and struggle against Naruto. Tayuya-chan, calm down. Tayuya stopped struggling and growled. Let me go, shithead, or I will gut you in your sleep. Naruto slowly let her go and she just stood there. Stupid sand skank. Stupid shithead. Naruto smiled at her, then looked over at Gaara. Our mission was to deliver the daimyo's daughter to Sunagakure, and that is what we did. We will be heading home now. Gaara nodded his head at them. Suki came out of the carriage. Bye Naruto-kun. Naruto shivered, then waved bye to her. Run Tayuya-chan. They ran non-stop until nightfall, making it inside of the Fire Country border before they stopped to set up their camp. Tayuya put their food on the fire to heat up. Hey shithead, what are you planning to do when you stop being a ninja? Naruto looked up at her from the fire. I never planned to stop being a ninja. I want to be the Hokage someday. That way people respect me instead of treating me the way that they do. Tayuya looked at the food, then looked at him. You have to be really strong to be a Kage though, shithead. Naruto looked at her. Are you saying that I cannot become strong? Tayuya looked at him some more. Anyone can become strong, shithead, but the council wouldn't approve of you either, shithead. Don't you think that it is a bit unlikely that it will happen? Naruto looked back at the fire. Probably won't happen. But I figure that I let enough of my dreams just slip away. I should hold on to one, don't you think, Tayuya-chan? Tayuya just looked at him for a moment. I guess. But shouldn't you keep one of the dreams you can achieve easier, like a wife? Naruto looked up from the fire at her. That is something that I know won't happen though, Tayuya-chan. Even becoming the Hokage is more reasonable. Tayuya narrowed her eyes at him. That daimyo's daughter seemed to be all over you though, shithead. Naruto shrugged. She didn't know who I am or what I have inside of me. Things would change. Tayuya sighed as she took the food off of the fire and handed Naruto his portion. I think you're giving up too easily, shithead. Naruto shrugged. Think about it. You know me better than anyone, yet you can barely stand me even though we have led similar lives. Every time I try to compliment you I get hit. It's a hopeless thing. Naruto and Tayuya ate in silence from there, and Tayuya went to sleep while Naruto stood watch again. When they returned to the village they went and reported to Tsunade, then headed back to their apartment. Tayuya was walking a step behind Naruto. I know him better than anyone. To be continued.